Stop talking of this all day. I'm taking my time on my getaway. And I'll be walking on a fine line. If I don't flinch, baby, I'll be fine. I said, I'll be fine. Fine. I'll be fine. Fine.
With us this evening, a very special guest, Paul Salami. Paul Salami, bassist extraordinaire of the J. Carl Smith Project.
Thank you so much.
Thank you
for
so
that
much.
Wonderful introduction.
Well, I don't know that anything less would have been satisfactory. Now, everyone knows your real name is Sauce. Not much better than salami, but certainly a little different.
Oh, it goes with it.
I think so.
Mhm.
Salami and sauce, I think most women might be intrigued.
Not for long.
I understand. Well, that's part of the game as well. I can only empathize with you, sir.
Thank you.
Nevertheless, to serious matters. Paul, you are here, and I'm very appreciative of that fact. The viewers out there who have tuned in obviously have some sort of interest in what goes on with Paul Salami. And I, for one, would love to know what you would love to share with those who might be interested. What would you like to share about Paul that they don't know?
Well, I'm a grandpa recently, and I love to play this bass.
Understood.
And I got a couple of kids, and they're all grown up, and they're doing fine and haven't called from jail yet.
Right on. And you love to play that bass.
And I do like to play this a lot.
I understand. What is that you have in your hands here tonight? That is a lovely piece. I know this has been introduced to the project, and we have discussed it on only briefly. But what are you playing there, man?
This thing is a fretless 6-string bass, electric bass.
And who makes this piece?
This is made by F Bass in Canada, Hamilton, Ontario.
Yeah, it's an interesting piece because a bass player in the band usually shows up with an instrument with 4 and sometimes maybe 5 strings upon it. This one in particular has 6, which I find very interesting. And after hearing it played and how well it's played, I've become an instant fan.
Ah, excellent.
Yeah,
It's an acquired taste.
indeed. It came upon me fairly quickly, though. It's not only beautiful, but it plays very nicely, and I have to admit, you play very well, sir.
Thank you. The trick to any fretless instrument, violins, cellos, whatever, these things you play with your ears.
Understood.
How do you play that thing without any lines on it?
So I want to know how long you've been playing such an instrument.
Well, I started out actually on a fretless Hooner bass years ago. Would have been about 1970,
Whatever.
whenever that was. Yeah,
Once upon a time, I'll call
yeah,
it.
yeah. It's been a while actually.
So
It's,
the Honer bass,
it's
what you were doing with it? What was going on?
I got thrown into a bebop jazz band with that thing.
And this was early on?
Yes,
All
I
right.
was still trying to figure out what the strings were and where the notes were, and
Understood.
I'm
And you're in the band, you know what the hell you're doing.
well, I'm a reformed guitar player.
Understood. So you had a
So-
general idea of the instrument, but hadn't quite mastered it to the
Oh,
point.
not anywhere close to.
I understood.
I'm still not anywhere close to it.
And in the early years, what were your greatest influence as far as genre of music and particularly artist?
Well, at that time, I was heavily steeped in learning jazz,
All right.
and the bass player to emulate was Jaco Pastorius of Weather Report fame, which of course nobody could really copy that, but I wound up in a lot of cover bands and house bands when that was available, and I didn't have any real formal training on the instrument, but it wasn't exactly rocket science.
Understood. Now, in the time from your initial bands and to where you are right now, how many different basses do you think you've played to this point? That's a question I'd like to know. That's something I find
I'd have to
interesting.
count them. Well,
And I need a
the
ballpark.
that
figure.
Hunter bass is the only one I don't have.
You still have them?
Oh, I've got them all, yeah, except for that one.
See, that in itself is very interesting to me. That you have all the basses that you've owned and played.
Yeah, I've never sold them, never gotten rid of them.
Unbelievable.
Well-
that is a very interesting fact that I'm very glad I
Well,
brought
you
to
see,
the
it
attention.
follows a path of evolution. I started off on 4-string basses,
Understood?
and
Because at one point, that's all there was.
that's all there was.
There was
And
4-string basses.
Yeah.
That's what they were.
That's all there were.
Were being the key word.
Yeah. And then we discovered 5 strings, and all of a sudden now, one can play much more efficiently across the neck instead of up and down all the time.
Understood.
And with the 6-string, it just goes a little bit further to the high end. But yeah,
Yeah,
so
very
my
cool.
first 2 4-strings then were the ones I still have are 2 Fenders, Franken Fenders. They've been heavily modified,
Understood.
but I can't stand to play them anymore. They just don't do what I need to do anymore.
Understood.
Even my 5 strings don't do what I want them to do anymore either, and I got a couple of those. But
Very cool.
so I've evolved from 4 to 6, and I know Jocko only used 4, right? But that's a different thing.
It is. Well, I think if he had an opportunity to play a 6-string bass, I can't see the man refusing.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures of him playing other things,
Okay.
but I'm real happy with this one.
My space with me this evening is the incomparable, the ever popular.
Me.
So, pardon the interruption. Now, having shared with us all that you just shared with us, and letting it be known that not only do you have all the basses that you've ever owned and played, which again I find very fascinating, because I've had, I mean,
Well, look at your collection.
well, I know. However, most of that was acquired in the last, 15, 20 years,
Sure.
right? But I've been playing guitar since I was really 12, 13, 14 years old,
Yeah.
right? As a teen, really started evolving with guitars, going from a kind of a bowed neck acoustic to
Yep.
your knockoff brand electrics to and funny story is not necessarily funny but interesting, but Mike Wheeler of the famed Wheels, a local band, rock band if you're familiar. I'm gonna say 16, maybe 17. I walked into Buddy Rogers' music store on Harrison Avenue in Cheviot.
Oh yeah.
It was right up from the Wine Castles there,
Yep.
and I had my heart set on a Fender Stratocaster, and that was my dream guitar at that point in my life, and I had set my sights on exactly that. And I walked through the door and I shared this with the at the time I would call him an associate and or the salesperson or rep, and it was Mike Wheeler. And Mike sold me my very first black Stratocaster. It was a It was an early '80s model Fender Stratocaster with the wah-wah bar and the whole 9 yards, and man, I was just in heaven. And I wished I still had that guitar today, which is my point, right? And I had multiple Strats afterwards, a couple of Tellys, and you know, I wish I still had those guitars. So very cool that
Oh,
you
yeah.
do. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, another episode of Jammin' at Jay's with some very cool dialogue with some very cool peeps. Paul Sauce, bass player of the J. Carl Smith Project, very appreciative of your participation in my operation and
sure.
music project. I think the best is yet to come.
I'm delighted to be here.
And I appreciate that fact very much. So, Paul Sauce in the house. Say hello, say goodbye. Thanks for another episode. Jammin' at Jay's.
Mama, take this badge off of me, 'cause I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. Feels some knocking on heaven's door. 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 Mama, put my guns to the ground, 'cause I can't shoot them anymore. The long black cloud is coming down. Feels some knocking on heaven's door. 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 Take this badge off of me, 'cause I can't use it anymore. It's getting dark, too dark to see. Feels some knocking on heaven's door. One more time. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. Knocking on heaven's door. heaven's door.